I love you so much, and you're going. Holding them closer, he said, and at the same time they heard a knock on the door. Theon, hurry up. It's a long way back home. They heard Jimin's voice. I'll be there soon. To hear what you didn't say. Whispering closer to Caleb, he leaned a little closer to their lips again. Again a knock on the door, and signing, he removed his arms around their back and took a step back, but holding his collar. They pulled him closer again. Major, don't be late, otherwise I will not say. Seung Tae rested his head on the chest and hugged him. I will not be late. Smiling, he said and wrapped his arms around him. I'll miss you. Both sat together and closed their eyes for a few seconds to feel this moment with each other. He reached in his in-laws after a long journey, but he was not tired. A happy smile was touching his lips, as all the way they was lost in all those loving moments which he had spent with Jungkook. They still could feel that loving gaze, his beautiful touch, and warm breath around him. Welcome, Theon, Jimin said as he opened the door, and Theon took a step inside with his a happy smile. Uma, Appa will be surprised to see you, said Jimin and merged ahead. I'm excited too, to see them surprised, they said and walked ahead. Both entered the hall, but their feet were stopped as their eyes found a person in the hall. The smile disappeared from his lips. Kai, a shocked whisper came out of Jimin's mouth. Theon, Mr. and Mrs. John were shocked to see him in that presence of Kai. What a surprise! Theon, you come? As Kai looked at Theon, he said and merged to him with a smile, but Theon didn't like this way of looking at him. Theon, how are you? I've just asked about you and you came, he asked standing in front of him. They took a step back, creating a distance between them. It's John Theon, Mr. John Theon, they said, and looked at him with the cold eyes. Kai got shocked on what he heard. He turned to see his parents, who gave a nod. How can you do this? He turned toward Tae and asked with a shocked face. Shut up, saying he marched ahead to meet Mr. and Mrs. John. Ignoring him completely, they walked to them and hugged them. They were happy to see they there. Mr. John looked at Kai with anger and left from there. Theo didn't look at him and just keep himself busy with Miss John and Jimin. Kai was all the time trying to talk to him, but he was not giving him any chance. All the week was like this. Kai was trying hard to talk to Tae, but he was showing he didn't even exist. And it was true. He didn't exist for him. Theon was happy with Jungkook, and all the time was roaming in his mind and in his thought. When you'll come? They asked as he sat on the bed and made a sad face. Are you missing me? He questioned, came to their lips stretched into a smile. Why would I? I was just asking because tomorrow is mom and dad wedding anniversary. They said, look at the picture of his love. Say it. You're missing me. You tell me when you're coming. They asked her question again. In 30 seconds, he replied, starting him. What? Where are you? They asked, and he placed his feet on the bed and stood up. Open the door. His words made their feet ran toward the door with a beating heart. They held the knob and opened it. As it opened up, the eyes fell on him, who was standing there, with the bag in his hand. Jungkook, a whisper came out of his mouth as he stepped into the room and took Tae in his arm without giving Tae any warning. Closing the door with his feet, he crushed his lips on Taeyoung happily to wrap his arms around his neck and kiss him back. Both were moving back while kissing each other. "I just miss you so much," he said as their back touched the wall and the lips from him to take breath. "I can see that," they said, pointing toward his arm, which was still wrapping around him tightly. "You didn't miss me?" he asked, to look deeply in Tae's eyes. "I miss you a lot too." On Tae's reply, a smile touched his lip, and he pulled Tae in his arm. Both hugged each other with love and kept Tae in the embrace of love for a few minutes. "Major, you didn't tell me that you were coming, what?" Tae asked, holding his collar tightly while resting his head on the chest. "Mr. Major's wife, I was planning to surprise you," he said, kidding him. "I like that surprise," Tae replied, and kept hugging him. Jungkook, his eyes fell on Tae, who was lying next to him in his arm. A light smile of happiness was still could be seen there on Tae's lips even in the sleep. Kissing his forehead, he moved out of the bed. Next morning, after taking a shower, he stepped out and found Tae sitting, waiting for him to come out. "Good morning," he said with a smile while dyeing his hair with towel. "Good morning." Stepping out of the bed, he said, and went to take his clothes out. "Hurry, freshen up, then we'll go to wish Mom and Dad," he said, and they nodded. Stepping toward the bathroom, they stopped and turned to him. He looked at Tae, who was trying to say something to him. Throwing the towel on the sofa, he walked to Tae. "You want to say something?" he asked, and he gave a nod. "Kai." His word made him shocked. "Kai came back," they said, but he was scared on his coming reaction of his. That day, when I came here, he was already here. I didn't know how to tell you about him, but now I wanted you to believe me that he's no one to me. He don't deserve and matter to me anymore. But you're, they said, and look at me. I trust you, and I know it's his house too. He has to return one day. You don't think about anything." Kissing their forehead, he said, and they let out a breath of relief. And with a nod, he walked toward the washroom. After freshening up, they both stopped out of the hair and walked toward their parents' room. Giving a knock, they pushed the door and back together. "Happy wedding anniversary, parents." On his voice, the both turned and looked at him with a happy surprise. "What a surprise!" Smiling, Mr. John said. "I hadn't hugged him," he said, and hugged his mother. Both of his parents hugged and then both blessed them. At the same time, Ka entered the room and looked at Jungkook and Taeyoung, who were standing together. Both brothers got silent and looked at each other. But then, Jungkook got first to move to his brother. "Hey Hyung," going with a smile to his brother, he said, and hugged Tae, who gave a smile back. "How are you?" he asked.